Small Town, Big Secrets by LeafletGames. The inspector's attention wavered. She zeroed in on the comforting clang of the grandfather clock. None of her old friend's words reached her ears. The policewoman kept talking, not noticing the audience's attention was elsewhere. Only when the policewoman paused for a moment did the inspector focus back on her. "It's not that we can't solve this case." She ran a hand through her close-cropped hair. "It's just that we're understaffed, and with Halloween coming up, we need all the help we can get." She shifted uncomfortably in a chair on the other side of a large desk. "Of course, I'm happy to take this case off your plate." The investigator answered calmly, unperturbed. "Oh, good, good." The policewoman got up hastily to leave. "If you need me, I'll be down at the Lornette farm. I'll be helping with security at the corn maze." Before she stepped through the office door, she paused, turning around. "Just one more thing." She looked at the woman at the desk for a moment as if waiting for a response. When none came, she cleared her throat, then glanced to the side and continued. "The chief wants to send a trainee with you. She just came in from the city." The policewoman frowned as if she said something embarrassing. Coolly raising her eyebrows, the investigator stared at her. "I work alone." "Yes, well, the chief, she said it was non-negotiable." The woman behind the desk sighed. The policewoman took it as an agreement and dashed out the door. "The trainee will be here tomorrow morning." She ran off. A trainee. I should have turned this case down. But I need this job. She looked at the stack of unpaid bills in her desk drawer. The investigator picked up the manila folder and the policewoman left with her. She slid her fingers along the familiar rough paper and opened it up, readying herself for a long night of reading case files. She read aloud the page full of scribbled notes. Corn maze, escape route, forest, jack-o'-lanterns with artificial light this year. Important, look out for weirdos. This must be notes for the Halloween preparations. She must have mixed up the files. How can they be so incompetent? The investigator felt like she asked herself this almost every day. If I wasn't here, this town would descend into chaos. I better get this to her right away. She got out of her truck, stretching out her arms above her head and stomping her feet to get some feeling back into them after an hour-long drive. The policewoman sat in the folding chair next to the corn maze, knitting and looking despondent until she heard the investigator approach. "Investigator Rowan, you came!" She got up, tangling her feet in the yarn and almost knocking the chair over in the process of freeing herself. "Here are the case files." They swapped the identical folders. "Sorry you had to drive all the way out here." The PI looked around at the festive atmosphere. Children searching for the perfect pumpkin in the pumpkin patch. The farm workers hanging last-minute decorations on the trees and buildings. Nice out here, isn't it? It's hard not to think of last year's tragedy. The policewoman's shoulders sagged a little. Yeah, well, I still think there was foul play at work, even though we never clearly caught anyone. At least those kids weren't trapped in a maze too long. And it was only a broken leg, not something worse. They were both silent for a moment, reflecting on other unspoken incidents. This year, I'm here to protect everyone. The investigator rolled her eyes. That's something, I suppose. I better get back to it. Thanks for bringing my notes. Good luck with the case. The policewoman grabbed a big knot of yarn on the ground, raising her eyebrow quizzically. Now, what to do about this little problem? The inspector woke at her desk where she had fallen asleep reading the case files. An unfamiliar girl sat across the desk from her. She fixed her tie and straightened her hair as much as possible. And you are? The girl's eyes lit up. Your new partner. But I don't have a... It took a moment for the previous day's events to come flooding back. The trainee. Sure, I don't have my badge yet, but I'm a good partner to have. Have you worked many cases then? Nope, but I'm excited to start. The girl almost bounced out of her seat in excitement. Where do we start? What's the case? Here. She slid the case files over the desk to the girl. Read these. The girl picked up the paper and placed them in her lap without looking at them. Can't you just tell me? She smiled and stared at the investigator. Seriously? Fine. The girl smiled even wider, her big eyes sparkling. There's been a missing person. Please don't interrupt me. Sorry. The girl apologized, but if she was fazed by the rebuke, she didn't show it. As I was saying, there's been a missing person. A young woman, a local, has not been seen for 3 days. His friends and family are worried and the police can't seem to make any headway. That's where we come in. The investigator shot a stern look at the girl. But yes, the police have hired me to solve this case. They're busy preparing for the annual Halloween party, making sure everything will be safe. That's why this falls to us. A party? Can we go to the party? I want to dress up. What are you going to be? The girl paused expectantly, and the investigator frowned back at her. We are not going to the party. You are here to work this case with me, so that is what we're going to do. The girl pouted. Now, read these case files. We'll go to the missing person's last known location after lunch. I may or may not desperately need a nap. Sleep well. The investigator groaned and slouched out of the office. Okay, are you ready to go to the forest? The investigator looked perkier than the day before, sipping a cup of coffee. The forest? The investigator tensed, almost spilling her coffee. You didn't read the case files, did you? I was supposed to do that? How did you even get into the police training program? Oh, whatever. Let's just go. The investigator walked confidently into the forest, with their sidekick lagging a little behind. According to the reports, this was her last known location. Why was she in the forest? If you had read the reports, you'd know that she was an avid bird watcher. Apparently, she came out of here often at strange hours to look for rare birds. What a cool hobby, I guess, but it's not smart to wander about alone. You never do anything alone? Huh? No, that's not what I... Stop distracting me. The investigator began searching the area. We have to look for clues. The girl mimicked the investigator, searching on the tree trunks, understones, in piles of leaves. What's this over here? The investigator came running. What is it? There are bugs under the stone. So? Do you think it's a clue? Not at all. Oh, okay. I'll keep looking. The investigator sighed as the girl replaced the stone. Wait a minute. Huh? Something shiny poked through the dead leaves. It's a quarter. Why would that be here? The girl put her face up close to the investigators. It could be a clue. Blushing a little at her closeness, the investigator puts the coin into the plastic bag and stood up uncomfortably. Never mind. This would go much faster if I was alone and could concentrate. Standing up slowly, the girl stood next to the investigator again. What did you say? Let's look over here together. Walking at a steady, determined pace, the two of them combed almost every inch of the forest. I don't see any more clues. Unless you want to reconsider about the bugs. What about spiders? This one is very cute. She pointed to a spider spinning its web. Rowan leaned in. It's not a clue, but it sure is fascinating. So, is this what it takes to get you out of work mode? The inspector stood up, making a face. I am in work mode because we are at work. So, will you go to the Halloween party with me? After work? You want to go with me? It doesn't matter. There isn't a missing person to be found. I won't rest until this case is solved. Turning on her heels, the investigator stomped back into the trees. The two continued to search the forest for an hour and a half more. I'm tired. Let's sit. A rotten log sagged under them as they sat down heavily. I'm at my wit's end. All I found were bugs, which are not clues. Yes, I know that now. I have to think. She bowed her head and rubbed her fingertips on her temples. The girl looked up at the sky, picking at the wood of the log with a nail. A big chunk of bark came off the log with a loud crack. What was that? I don't know. I was just pulling this apart here. The two got up and looked down at the log in surprise. Where the bark had been was a large black area. It sucked all the light from around it. It was as if they could almost see inside before it was just blackness again. What is it? I've never seen anything like it. It looks like a door. The investigator reached out her hand to touch the darkness. It feels cool, like a mountain stream, yet dry. How strange. I want to try. Before she could stop her, the girl held out her hand as well. There was a whoosh as they were both drawn into the void. When they came to, they stood in a cave with an otherworldly air. Liquid dripped off the stone ceiling into a hidden pool. The air was surprisingly hot, like late afternoon in the summer. Already doggedly looking for clues, the investigator combed the walls of the cavern while the girl walked in circles, wide-eyed with wonder. Do you think this is where the woman went missing? I never conclude anything until I have evidence. But you think she might be here, right? The girl got no response as the investigator had paused to the next large stone. What's that? Why would there be a woolen scarf in this cave? Picking up the item, the investigator looked it over. It was most likely a chilly night. This could belong to the young woman. With a roar, something came lumbering out from behind the big rock. That's mine. What's this? She held up the scarf. Where did you get it from? I made it. Oh, yeah? Where did you get the wool? Here. Aha, you're lying. I know this wool anywhere. It is wool from the Icelandic sheep. The only place around here that you can get it is at the Narrated farm. And I'm pretty sure that Jane and Lydia wouldn't have given it to someone like you. Oh, do you know how to knit? Of course I knit. Don't you? I wish I did. I was thinking to go to the Narrated farm to get some of their famous hot apple cider. It's so tasty. Maybe we could go together. Gah! Give me the scarf. I found it. And what do you mean they wouldn't give it to someone like me? You are just like the others. With a wail, the monster ran off down the corridor. Well, I'm going to keep this. The scarf went into the investigator's bag. Let's see what else we find. The two continued deeper into the cavern. A few more steps and the cavern opened up. They came across what looked like a house made of stone. Look, something is written on the wall. It was written with this pencil and it looks very recent. It is no language I've ever seen though. Do you think that the missing person wrote it? What should we do? Let's ask inside the house. The investigator knocked on the door of the stone cottage. Yes? From the other side of the door, a monster stepped out. She wore a beautiful dress and moved with a nimble grace. Excuse me, but I was wondering if you could decipher this text written on your wall. Text? On my wall? Who did that? I'll read it to you, but then I'm scrubbing it off. Must have been those kids. The monster came out of the house and walked over to the side. Yup, that's text all right. Hang on, I can't read it so close. She walked all the way to the other side of the cave. This should be far enough. Let's see. It says, I smiled. For what had I to fear? What what does that mean? Heck if I know. I'm going to wash it off. Darn kids and their pranks. Who would write this and why? What does it have to do with the missing person? The monster bared its teeth, and the investigator and her partner took the hint. They ran further down the dark corridor. They heard a sound, like a rock falling onto another rock. The partner ran faster, pulling ahead. There's nothing here. The investigator ran up, panting to catch her breath. You're so quick. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain stabbing through her leg. Ah! What is it? The sidekick came running towards the investigator. Holding it up, the two of them looked at the PI's leg. A vice-like trap had snapped upon it, similar to those used for hunting animals. Little trickles of blood ran down the investigator's leg, pooling in her shoe and soaking into her sock. It's a trap. You're bleeding. I'm fine. She winced. Let me help you. Straining, the girl pulled at the metal jaws to no avail. Wait. Get out of my way. As the trainee took a few steps back, the investigator reached to her belt and took out a long knife. You had that all along? I always have it with me. But I was taught never to use weapons. I have it for things like this. She wedged the heavy blade between the teeth of the metal trap. The hinges creaked and groaned until she twisted the knife away from herself, quickly breaking the metal springs and snapping the trap open. It flung to the far wall of the cave, bouncing off stone. Nice! I guess things like that can be useful, though they scare me a little. Thanks. She let out the hint of a smile. Oh, still hurts though. The smile turned into a grimace of pain. Here, let me help. Let me help you. Let's sit here. She put her arms around her shoulders and helped her limp over to a seat to sit on a flat rock. Is this how your cases go? Honestly, no. I usually solve them within the first 15 minutes. Haven't had this much excitement in a while. Well, I've never had this much excitement, ever. You're not the one with holes in your leg. They both laughed. Here. She ripped off some fabric from her skirt, using it to bind the PI's wounds. I just wish we knew where this girl was. Are you worried about her? Of course I am. Even though you don't know her? Yes, that has nothing to do with it. If someone is missing, I want to find them and bring them home. It's as simple as that. Not everyone would feel that way. The girl looked down wistfully. Well, most people are selfish. But not everyone. The girl looked up at the PI. I admire you for that. Embarrassed by the compliment, the investigator tried to push herself onto her feet, letting out a moan of pain. We should rest for a moment. I don't want to stop searching. You can take a break once in a while. Exasperated, Rowan sat back against the cave wall. I'm used to doing things my way. I work diligently and it pays off. If I push myself, then I'm less likely to make mistakes. She sighed, as if not believing what she'd actually said it out loud. This town has been through a lot. People have gotten hurt and I don't want to feel responsible. Why would you feel responsible? She placed a caring hand on her arm. Things were different when I worked with the police. We took breaks, we joked around, and we prioritized cases. When I realized that there were problems in this town that we just didn't deal with, I couldn't handle it. I left to start my own business, and I've been doing my best ever since, and to solve each and every case that crosses my desk. That's commendable. But what about you? I'm sitting here on All Hallows Eve with a hurt leg, and you're with me. There's nowhere I'd rather be. Surprised, the investigator looked over at the girl. I feel the same way. Her partner snuggled closer, wrapping her arms around the investigator. The girl smiled softly and reached to touch her face. It is okay to let yourself go. Somehow, she knew what she meant, and their lips met in a kiss. They lingered, embracing. The kiss deepened until the girl's knee jabbed into the investigator's bandage. Ouch! Oops, sorry. They both giggled, still flushed. The partner reached out her hand. Let's get out of here. The investigator nodded. I don't think we'll find anything else down here. The two left the way they had come, crossing the dark threshold once again and entering into the forest. Something is different. The forest was covered in lights. Orbs hung from the trees and jack-o'-lanterns adorned the path. It is Halloween! The investigator paused, leaning against their sidekick. So it is. We must have been gone longer than we thought. People of all ages walked to and fro, dressed in many different styles of colorful costumes. They talked animatedly. Bags or baskets of candy hanging from their hands. We need to block this entrance again. We don't want any of these people finding it by accident. The PI caught her breath as their partner tried to replace the large piece of bark over the swirling dark entrance. With the door concealed once again, they reached for each other, holding hands, watching the people in costumes walking to and fro. Are you feeling okay? Yes, it doesn't hurt as much now. I can wash it and dress it properly when we get out of here. I'm really good at first aid. Thank you. Thank you for everything. I haven't done much. Well, you... She blushed, unable to finish her sentence. Sitting beside her, smiling, her partner gently stroked her arm. I know. It surprised me too. They smiled at each other. Maybe we should celebrate Halloween together. We could carve a... Wait. The investigator paused, thinking. Did you come up with something? Possibly. First of all, we have the scarf. What about it? The farm. You said you wanted to go taste their hot apple cider. The thing is, the farm and pumpkin patch is only open to the public during Halloween. How did you know how tasty the apple cider is if you just got in from the city? I must have gotten confused. I think I heard it from someone. Then, we have the writing on the wall. What could that mean? The monster had to read the quote from far away. The quote was from Poe, but what stood out to me was the way the monster could not read the text until they looked at it from far away. The girl shifted uncomfortably. Maybe all the monsters all have poor eyesight. This is a clue that might help us break this case. That brings us to the trap. What does the trap have anything to do with anything? The trap was sprung when I ran over a pressure plate. A simple yet effective design. You, however, ran right over it and the trap did not spring. I guess so, but I still don't see what these things have to do with anything. I propose that you knew that the scarf and the apple cider, so you must be a local. You're also farsighted, hence why you didn't read the case files and you didn't spring the trap. Because you were a monster yourself. What? How dare you accuse me of that? The girl started to cry, as she did, she transformed into a monster. I admit, it was hard for me to maintain that form. I have been so eager to show you my true self. Did you lead me down there on purpose? Yes. The girl admitted the truth, blinking through her tears. I wanted you to see who we were, who we are, how we live. We're not evil. But what about the missing girl? Oh, that was me all along. I'm from this town, even though I've never felt like a part of it. The monsters are my family now. They know how it is to be shunned, to feel trapped by others' expectations of you. What about your friends and family? I read what was said in the case files. They miss you. No, I made them up. Some of the other monsters helped me. But why? Why did you do this? Why did you take me down there? Let me show you. She took the investigator by the hand, and they descended into the monster world once more. I first visited this place 3 months ago. I was running away and stumbled upon the entrance. Running away from what? I don't want to talk about it. They walked down the empty cavern hand in hand. Can you tell me what happened when you went down here? For some reason, I wasn't scared. I was curious and eager to get away from everything I had ever known. The beings down here, they were nice to me. I started coming here regularly and I learned that they also ran away. Even on Halloween, the one night of the year that they could walk among people safely, they were targeted. They had lived apart for so long, they had no longer knew how to fit in. They stood out, even when their appearance blended in with the Halloween costumes. Every little act of violence was blamed on them. So, they gave up going to the surface. And I had given up long ago. Don't you see? They had approached an opening in the cavern, a town-like hustle and bustle, with smiling happy monsters walking to and fro. We have made something better here. So, you just up and left everything you knew. Yes. What about your appearance? If you are human, why do you look like this? It is one of the side effects of the cavern, I suppose. I'm not sure if the other monsters down here were also humans once. Perhaps they were always here, living alongside the humans. Regardless, I don't mind this form. I was not so attached to my old one. You'll come to like it too. The investigator realized that she was still holding the girl's hand and dropped it. What? You can't be serious. Of course I am. I've been watching you. I know the darkness you've witnessed, the terrible side of humanity. Don't you want to escape from all of it? Don't you want to escape from all of it? Isn't it worth to build something better? The investigator paused, considering. No, I can't stay here. I'm sorry. I sympathize with your plight, I really do. And you are right. I've seen lots of darkness, a lot of evil. But this is not the answer. I've found a lot of joy as well and goodness. The good exists alongside the bad. I don't think they can be disentangled. What? You'd really choose to live with all that misery? I don't want it, but it is life. I'm choosing to embrace every part of it. You're making a mistake. An angry fire rose in her eyes. Why don't you come with me? We can work to make the world a better place by living in it together. Do you really mean that? Yes, of course I do. Even if I look like this? Even if you don't know about my past? Even though I deceived you? Yes. The investigator took her hand again. I believe in you. And I believe in us. I don't know. I mean, okay, come with me. Pulling the girl by the hand, the investigator brought her out of the cavern. As soon as they were out, she pulled the monster girl into her arms. They held each other for a moment, then they walked out of the forest. Everything will be okay. They walked through the now empty streets hand in hand. I don't know why, but I feel safe with you. I feel safe with you too. The end.